What are we discussing on today's podcast, you ask? Well, we got to break down the good and the bad from Brandon Pfaadt's debut against the Texas Rangers, and then we're breaking down the series coming up against the Washington Nationals, all on today's Locked on Diamondbacks podcast.
You are Locked on Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. Listening to who? The always charismatic host of this podcast, Millard Thomas. I'm a multimedia journalist and a graphic designer, so please go check out my website, millardthomas24.myportfolio.com. On there, you can see all my latest work, from my packages to my articles, my photos, and my graphic design. If you want to see more content by me, just follow me on Twitter at CreatorThomas24 for my personal account, or look up Locked on Diamondbacks both Twitter, Instagram for the podcast handle. And of course, thank you for making Locked on Diamondbacks your first listen every day. I would not be able to do this podcast without you, my loyal listeners, sharing, subscribing, reviewing, doing all that so I could do this podcast for you. Thank you. It's free and available on all platforms. So please continue to tell your friends. One of those platforms is YouTube. So please hit subscribe on Locked on Diamondbacks YouTube channel. We're trying to hit 500 subscribers before the end of May. So please hit subscribe on there. And today's episode is brought to you by Rocket Money. Stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. Now that we got all the openers out the way, let's discuss this D-backs game against the Texas Rangers, because this was an interesting game to watch, because the D-backs early in this game came out firing. They were up 3-1 after 3 innings. They were up 6-1 they were up 6-2, up 6-2 after the top of the fifth, and so it looks like they were cruising along. Brandon Pfaadt making his debut for the D-backs. That's, of course, what we got to discuss today. The D-backs offense was cruising early. Brandon Pfaadt was cruising early. Then that fifth inning rolled around, and Brandon Pfaadt started to lose control of the ball game. Just kind of snowballed away from him in the fifth inning. He gets taken out, but the D-backs offense comes storming back in the seventh, and the D-backs show a lot of resilience. They're able to come back in this game and beat the Texas Rangers, which they really need to do, because this was only a 2-game series, and now the D-backs are 3 games above 500 at 17-14, and now they're still a game and a half back of the LA Dodgers. The D-backs are no longer the first place team in the NL West, but 3 games above 500 in the month of May and sitting nicely in second place in the NL West. Like, I'll definitely take that at this time of the year. So let's discuss the good and bad from this game. And let's first start with the bad, because the first bad that we need to discuss is Brandon Pfaadt, who had the ups and downs in this game, right? Brandon Pfaadt showed he was really good early. He cruised through the first few innings of this game. He was pretty locked in, but Brandon Pfaadt did have innings where he was missing pitches, and in that second inning to Heim, he did give up a home run. That fourth inning to Josh Jung, he did give up a home run as well. That fifth inning was a struggle for him, and overall, Brandon Pfaadt's final slash line was 4.2 innings pitched, 9 hits, 7 earned runs, and whenever you have more home runs allowed than strikeouts, 4 home runs to 3 strikeouts, that's never good, but this is still someone that I still have a whole lot of trust in. It was his debut. He definitely looked like a rookie out there, and he really wasn't fooling anyone with his pitches. His fastball, like all the velocity on his pitches were right there with what was along with his minor league averages. 93.5 miles per hour on his fastball, 83.8 miles per hour on his slider, changeup 87.5, curveball 78.1 miles per hour. But the issue was he wasn't really fooling anyone. And if you look at the home runs, the doubles allowed, anytime he gave up a run scoring play, it was off any pitch he threw. The fastball, slider, changeup. These Texas Rangers did a good job of keying in on Brandon Pfaadt, and they were able to do it more later in the game in those middle innings than early in the game. But still, overall, Brandon Pfaadt didn't do a great job of making people miss. wasn't able to generate a ton of missed at bats. And if you look at the contact percentage on Texas Rangers batters when they swung at pitches in the strike zone, 95% of the time they made contact on Brandon Pfaadt's fastballs, and 100% of the time they made contact on his fastballs when it was outside the zone. So these Texas Rangers did a real good job of keying in on Brandon Pfaadt's fastball, which is probably his bread and butter pitch, and exit velo on that fastball was 91.1 miles per hour. On the slider, it was 101.5, and on the changeup, it was 105.9. So a lot of hard contact given up by Brandon Pfaadt, but this is still someone who's super young, making his first start of the season. I don't want to put too many eggs in the first start of his career basket, but it wasn't the best start from Brandon Pfaadt, because if he came out and dominated, like, that would have just been such like an emotional lift for this D-backs team, because we know, as we talked about on yesterday's podcast, this rotation outside of Zach Gallen and Mel Kelly, of course, really hasn't been that effective with the Madison Bumgarners, the Ryan Nelsons, the Dre Jamesons, the Tommy Henrys, like, they haven't been that great. And Brandon Pfaadt, another youngin, another rookie thrown into the rotation. We're like, okay, after one start, let's see what he's got, because if he looked phenomenal in that first start, it would have just raised the emotional joy of this team so much and really gave you a lot of hope for the rest of this season's rotation, because then you would have been like, okay, we got Gallen, we got Kelly, and now we got Pfaadt, and then hopefully another rookie like a Jameson or a Nelson or a Tommy Henry can fill in that fourth role, and then you got Zach Davies in that fifth role. But unfortunately, it looks like it's still going to be a competition and a little bit of a question mark of who should fill out the rest of the rotation between the Pfaadts, the Jamesons, the Ryan Nelsons, and the Tommy Henrys of the world. Because I still don't know who should fill out that rotation after Gallen and Merrill Kelly. I think the D-backs might just do a rotation of dudes after those two guys, but Brandon Pfaadt didn't look great in his debut, but again, it is his debut, so I'm not entirely too worried. I'm definitely going to give him a longer leash as the season wears on. Another thing that I dislike from this game, Alec Thomas went 0 for 5 in this game, and he's just been really struggling at the plate this season. After tonight's game, a 176, 248, 308 slash line, and against lefties this year, Alec Thomas has been basically non-existent, because in 30 at-bats against left-handed pitching this season, Alec Thomas literally has one hit in 30 at-bats, no home runs, no doubles, no triples, one RBI, and he just hasn't been good at all against lefties. And listen, I know when it's a lefty versus lefty, your numbers are going to look a little worse than as opposed a left-handed batter versus a right-handed pitcher, but you shouldn't look like a guy that doesn't deserve to be in Major League Baseball just because you're going against a guy that pitches on the same side as you hit. Like, it shouldn't be that drastic of a difference. And Alec Thomas so far this season just hasn't been able to get it done against lefties. And if Alec Thomas has true aspirations about being an everyday player, an impact player, because we know his defense can keep him in the lineup, but what about his offense? What about his bat? And right now, that does not seem to be the case. And he needs to get better against left-handed pitching if he wants to be a true everyday option for the D-backs in the outfield. Then the last thing that I dislike from this game is Evan Longoria, because Longoria, he went 0 for 3 in this game, and he continues to just struggle against right-handed pitching, the opposite of Alec Thomas, because he only has 3 hits in 28 at-bats. He's got a 107 average, 1 home run, and he just hasn't been good at all against right-handers. And we saw him get pinch hit today for Josh Rojas whenever there's a lefty on the mound, because that is not Evan Longoria's strength at all. But I want him to be good for both sides of the plate. I know we signed Evan Longoria just to be a platoon guy that crushes left-handed pitching, so it's not an issue that he does excel at that side, because Longoria against left-handed pitching, a 280 average, 861 OPS, like, that's why he was signed to the D-backs. But I still want him to do better than a 107 average and a 350 OPS against right-handed pitching. Like, I don't think that's too much to ask. So Longoria, he's done his job this year against lefties, which is why the D-backs signed him, but still want him to see him improve a little bit against right-handed pitching, because it'll just make the D-backs offense that much better if he's able to do that. And one thing that would help you in your daily life, like Evan Longoria crushing right-handed pitching, is better help because everyone can use better help in their lives. It's so easy to get caught up in what everyone else needs from you and never take a moment to think about what you need from yourself. If you've benefited from therapy in the past, then BetterHelp can help you out. And if you have any friends that might need a little bit of help from therapy, then definitely suggest BetterHelp to them, because if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/LockedOnMLB today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnMLB. Now I'm going to need 3 seconds so I can blow my nose. I'm going to mute the mic because I cannot breathe right now. All right, I'm back, and let's continue the podcast. Blew my nose a little bit. Let's discuss the good from this game against the Texas Rangers, because there was a lot of good. Because even though Brandon Pfaadt was bad in this game, did not get done against the Texas Rangers in his debut, the D-backs offense was able to back him up, and they were able to win 12-7. I feel like I haven't hit that enough. D-backs won 12-7. They have 17 wins. Texas Rangers at 18-12 lead the AL West, but 18 wins, only one more than the D-backs. Again, the D-backs have been really strong this season, and 3 games above 500 the first week of May 4th, as you guys are listening to this. May the 4th be with you. Like, yeah, I'm definitely excited. I'm definitely happy to see it, and the D-backs offense showed a lot of resilience tonight. So let's get into the good from this game against the Texas Rangers, because the first good that I want to talk about is, once again, power, because we saw Ketel Marte with a home run. Didn't he have a home run in the first game against the Texas Rangers as well? Christian Walker hit 2 home runs in this game. Lourdes Gurriel hit his second home run of the season, and the D-backs were just smashing the Texas Rangers in this ball game with those 4 home runs among those 3 players. And Ketel Marte is someone who is slowly picking it up this year, slowly heating it up. Still doesn't look like the prime Ketel Marte who we signed to that extension, but he's definitely looking better than last year's Marte through the first month of the season, where he was just struggling so much at the plate, didn't look poised, and didn't look like himself. And Marte is starting to get that composure back, starting to get that swagger back, starting to crush pitches all over the strike zone. And right now, look at Marte. He didn't hit his 5th home run till July last year. Already got his 5th home run early in May. And over the last 28 days, Marte is certainly heating up. A 296 average with above 950 OPS over the last month. And then someone like Christian Walker has also been hot over the last 10 games. Christian Walker is batting 372 with over 1,200 OPS. And Walker at the beginning of the season just started a little bit slow, wasn't really in his bag, couldn't really hit for too much power, was just struggling overall at the plate. And ever since he shaved his face, he just seems to be heating up, and the power is starting to come back for Christian Walker. The consistency is starting to come back with Ketel Marte. And those 2 guys, with the way Corbin Carroll is playing, like, if you could get, I don't know, 2018 Ketel Marte, or at least 2021 Ketel Marte with last year's Christian Walker, like, those 3 players are definitely good enough to carry this offense. And then you get the sprinkling of Lourdes Gurriel here and there, Josh Rojas, Evan Longoria, Pavin Smith, Emmanuel Rivera, Dominic Fletcher. Like, the D-backs just have so much quality depth. And when your stars are playing like to their ceilings, and then your depth is chipping in where they can, like the Geraldo Perdomos of the world. Like, we're not really going to talk about Perdomo too much from this game, but he came in, he pinch hit for Nick Ahmed, and he went 2 for 2. And now Perdomo's slash line on the year is 409, 473, 636. Like, Perdomo had just been absolutely insane this year. So I love the way the D-backs often showed their power tonight, and really just their resilience, because that's kind of the next thing. My next thing my next thing that I like from this game, my next positive takeaway, was the 7th inning from this game, because I'm not gonna lie, after Brandon Pfaadt gave up the lead, I was like, all right, this is not going the D-backs way. The D-backs are probably going to lose this game with how the momentum is setting up. And That didn't happen because after Pfaadt left the game, the D-backs offense came alive in the 7th inning for 5 runs. You got a Corbin Carroll. He came in to pinch hit and basically got the whole offense started in that 7th inning. And you just had so many different players put in work. Like Rivera had a single. He's the one that tied up the game, and Rivera has been so good since getting called up. He was 1 for 5 today, but had that big hit in the 7th inning. And he's looked really good at the plate this year. And he's someone that has crushed so far in AAA with the Reno Aces. He's not someone that I'm all the way in on after being acquired by the D-backs last season, but he was solid for the D-backs after being acquired in the trade. And so far this season, in a small sample size, he's been solid as well. So Emmanuel Rivera right now is on my positive list. Christian Walker, I mean, he walked with the bases loaded. He was phenomenal today. 3 runs off 2 hits, 2 home runs, and he walked in a run. Phenomenal. Rojas had a sacrifice fly. Rojas can be hit or miss. He started the season really hot. He's cooled off a little bit over the last 2.5, 3 weeks, but he's still been a really good player for the D-backs. And Seth Beer was DFA today. And now when you look at that return for Zach Greinke, Corbin Martin, where is he at? JB Briscockis, where is he at? Seth Beer, where is he at? Those were 3 of the top 5 Astros prospects in their organization at the time when the D-backs acquired them. But there was one more player in that deal, the 27th, I think the 27th prospect, according to MLB.com at the time, Josh Rojas. If not 27th, he was definitely in the 20s for top prospects for the Astros at that time. And he's been by far, I mean, he's the only guy playing for the D-backs consistently on the major league level. So it's insane when you trade away a guy like Zach Greinke, all-star level pitcher. You get back 3 of the top 5 prospects in someone's organization, and all 3 of them are whiffs. But the guy who's a throw-in in the 20s among prospect rankings is the best player. That's why I'm like, prospect rankings could be crazy. Never put all your eggs in a prospect basket. And if I'm trading away a star player, I want back major league talent as opposed to just dart throws in your prospect system. But D-backs offense showed resilience. Josh Rojas was really good after Rojas. Fletcher, who has been good in a small sample size, all season. He singles. He was able to stretch his bat out, cover the outer part of the plate, and just pick up a hit. And then Perdomo doubled because Perdomo put in work with runners in scoring position. They had Gurriel home run in the 8th inning. D-backs often showed a lot of resilience, and they definitely showed resilience in that 7th inning when they were able to get 5 runs. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is Corbin Carroll. He was able to return, pinch hit, first game I've seen from him since April 29th, I believe. And Corbin Carroll, in his first game back, pinch hitting, was able to get that rally started in the 7th inning with a hit. Now Corbin Carroll's slash line on the season after today's game, 313, 376, and 535. Absolutely phenomenal numbers for Corbin Carroll, who I think is firmly in the lead for the Rookie of the Year award. Carroll, the Perdomos, the Rojas's, the Walkers, the Martes, if those guys continue to play well like this, then it's over. I don't want to say it's over for Major League Baseball, but the D-backs will definitely have a chance to make the postseason. If there are stars in the lineup or playing like that, you just need their rotation pieces to perform a little bit better. And if you want to cancel your unwanted subscriptions, then you guys need to check out Rocket Money, because did you discover any subscriptions you forgot about? Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about, and chances are you're one of them. Like that Stars app just to watch one show, or that free gaming trial you never actually use. Rocket Money will quickly and easily find your I can't say subscriptions. Rocket Money will quickly and easily find your subscriptions for you, and for any you don't want to pay anymore, just hit cancel and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. It's that easy. Rocket Money also helps you manage all your finances in one place and automatically categorizes your expenses so you can easily track your budget in real time and also get alerted if anything looks off. Stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. Now I'm going to mute myself one more time because my nose is running a little bit and I absolutely can't breathe and it's affecting the podcast. So give me one more moment, please. Oh my God, my allergies are kicking my butt. But let's power through this podcast. I don't even care. I'm recording this at 1:40 a.m. on Thursday night. I am recording this and I'm posting it in full. You're going to see me blowing my nose for the YouTube audience. I do not care. I am not doing no post editing on this YouTube video. How it is how you're going to get it because I'm real and I'm raw to my Locked On Diamondbacks family. So let's get back into this podcast and let's preview the series against the Washington Nationals because the D-backs next 4 series gets a little bit interesting, and it's a big test for the D-backs because we, of course, love looking ahead on the schedule on the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. And the D-backs next 4 series, real chance for the D-backs to maybe retake the lead in the NL West or really just solidify themselves as a pretty good team in the National League with, I don't know, being 5 or 6 games above 500 because the next 4 teams for the D-backs got the Washington Nationals, who are boo-boo, the Miami Marlins, who are solid. Excuse me. You could just hear the way I'm talking right now. It is being so modulated because of my allergies. Miami Marlins, who are solid, the San Francisco Giants, who are behind the D-backs in the standings, like I predicted, and the Oakland A's, who are probably a single A baseball team. So if the D-backs can really, I don't know, take 2 out of 3 from every team in the in the next 4 series, I'm assuming one of those series is probably a 4 gamer, one of them might be a 2 gamer. But if the D-backs can win 2 out of 3 for all 4 of those series and win 66% of those games, then I think that would be great for the D-backs because once again, if they do think they're a true wild card team, as they keep talking about with the sense of urgency and not trying to be complacent and win games and take the season seriously, then you gotta beat the next 4 teams that you're facing. Of course, not every good team is going to win against every bad team in a series, like the 2018 Red Sox, where they basically dominated every season. Excuse me. The 2018 Red Sox dominated every series that they faced that year. Every team that they faced, they basically, I think they won like every series. They might have had one stretch of like a 3-game losing streak, but outside of that, the Red Sox in 2018 were phenomenal. So I don't think the D-backs have to be that, but for the most part, if they could beat the teams in series that that they're clearly better than more times than not, then I think that's a true mark of being at least a postseason contender. And so for the D-backs who are facing the Washington Nationals next, like another good test for the D-backs to prove themselves as a good team because the Washington Nationals are bottom 2 in runs, OPS, and home runs when you look at their offense, but their pitching isn't the worst in baseball. They're actually middle of the pack when you look at ERA. A lot of their other pitching stats are like all right. They're not the worst in terms of pitching. Their rotation is like fine. It's their lineup that you're really not scared of because they don't have one person in that lineup that's producing at a high level. Not one person in that lineup with like at least an 800 OPS. So for the D-backs, when you see something like that, that means your offense needs to wake up and just put the Washington Nationals to bed. Like that should be a series where the D-backs offense is putting up 5 runs a game and just making sure that the Washington Nationals offense has no chance of coming back and competing in that series. So that's really what I want to see is the D-backs offense taking it to the Nationals, and they have to be awake. But like I said, the Nationals do have a solid rotation, and it's solid because they have some really young arms in that rotation. Josiah Gray, who was acquired from the Dodgers in that Trey Turner, Max Scherzer deal, has been really good for the Nationals this year. He's been nasty. I'm assuming we might see him. We haven't seen the starters announced yet for this series, so I actually don't know who's pitching at all. But I'm assuming Merrill Kelly's pitching in the first game, but I don't know for certain. And then the other starter that's been really good for the Nationals this year is Mackenzie Gore, who was acquired from the San Diego Padres in the Juan Soto deal. So the Nationals are actually like a good case study. Like we need to see how they perform over the next 2 to 3 years, how their young players look, because the Nationals acquired so much talent from both the Scherzer and Juan Soto's deals. And I just talked about how if I'm trading away a star player, I don't want prospects, but the Nationals might be the case study as to why so many teams and front offices take these dart throws on prospects because they have the upside of maybe being even better than the guy you traded away, or at least you could get a bevy of dudes that could make up that production from the guy you traded away. And so far, the Josiah Grays and the Mackenzie Gores look pretty good. But if we see Merrill Kelly in game one, I don't care who's on the mound for the Washington Nationals. But Merrill Kelly in his career hasn't been super great against the Washington Nationals. 7 earned runs in 12 innings pitched to Washington, but I think Merrill Kelly right now is pitching pretty well. I think he's looking pretty good. He's been pretty good over his last couple starts. I want to see if Merrill Kelly could keep it going, but that Juan Soto trade, when you look at it now in hindsight, I mean, Juan Soto hasn't been that good for the Padres, so it actually begs the question, like, so far, are the Nationals winning that deal against the San Diego Padres? Because Juan Soto in his San Diego Padres career is batting .231 with 786 OPS. Then we look up what the Padres gave up for Juan Soto. They gave up Robert Hassel, who is still in the minor leagues, but right now entering 2023, according to Major League Baseball.com, was the 35th best prospect in all of baseball. They also got James Wood, who's like a top 5 prospect according to MLB.com. CJ Abrams, who is one of the best prospects in Major League Baseball at the time of being acquired by the Washington Nationals. And then they also got Mackenzie Gore, who was one of the best rookies in the National League last year. So in terms of just prospect evaluations and rankings, like the Nationals got what, 4 top 50 guys or better from the San Diego Padres in that Juan Soto deal. Like that's about as good as you can do in today's market when you're trading away a star player. So I do respect that from the Nationals. I want to see how that young team looks in this series, but the D-backs have a lot of young talent in this series as well. And I want to see what that Carroll Fletcher outfield looks, because we haven't really seen a Carroll Fletcher outfield so far because of Carroll's injury. So I want to see those two really take it to the Washington Nationals in this series, because that would just make me so happy seeing those two young guns going against the young pitchers on the Washington Nationals side. But I do think the D-backs will win this series. I think they have to win this series, because for me to take the D-backs seriously and continue taking them seriously, they have to continue to do well against these not so good teams, because as we talked about with Silly Baseball the other day, there's a lot of teams that have good records after the month of April who are in first place, second place, and then end up at the end of the season in last place, or teams who went from worst to first. So for the D-backs, like they talked about, can't get complacent, and you have to keep your foot on the gas. Now, that's it for this edition of the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. Come back tomorrow for more Diamondbacks news, coverage, and insight. Thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every day. Remember, you can catch every D-backs hometown pitch when you listen to the hometown broadcast on the SiriusXM app. Just search up Diamondbacks on the app. Thank you to everyone who tuned into today's podcast. Supposed to be talking to Lindsey Crosby of Locked On MLB Prospects tomorrow. So check out that podcast. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy. Deuces.